Right now on Morning News Now, waiting game. Jury deliberations continue today in Donald Trump's historic hush money trial. The 7 men and 5 women are sifting through 80 hours of testimony to decide whether the Manhattan District Attorney's Office proved its case beyond reasonable doubt. As the country awaits the fate of the former president, we'll have a look at the key moments from the first day of jury deliberations. Also developing this morning, Israeli forces are pushing forward with military operations in southern Gaza. Military officials saying they now have tactical control over the Gaza-Egypt border. We'll have the latest there. Plus, an alarming new study says girls are starting puberty earlier than ever before. Our medical expert will tell us what's behind this and how bias in puberty care could affect young female minorities later in life. And let's get down to business. Time just released its annual list of 100 companies that are making an impact around the world, from iconic celebrity brands to innovative tech startups. We'll tell you who made the cut.
From the world of beauty to AI, which is one of the most important issues of the day, we'll delve in. Good to have you with us on this Thursday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We, of course, get started today with the hush money trial of former President Donald Trump. Jury deliberations are set to continue later this morning.
On Wednesday, 12 jurors deliberated for 4.5 hours without reaching a verdict. The jury began the day by receiving instructions from the judge. They're tasked with deciding whether Mr. Trump was part of an unlawful scheme to allegedly falsify business records to cover up hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the run-up to the 2016 election. Mr. Trump denies the charges. During yesterday's session, the jury requested a readback of testimony from 2 major prosecution witnesses. They also asked for a repeat of at least some of the judge's instructions to them. NBC News national correspondent Yasmin Masugian is outside the courthouse for us, and our legal analyst Danny Savalos is here on set. Good morning to both of you. So, Yasmin, no verdict on day one, but some potentially important requests made by the jury. Which witness testimony did the jury want to review?
David Pecker, the first witness that took the stand in this trial 6 weeks ago now. They want to hear from David Pecker. Again, Michael Cohen as well, about 35 pages or so worth of what the clerk in the courtroom is going to have to read back to the jurors once court resumes at 9:30 this morning. You mentioned it, right? 4.5 hours of deliberation yesterday. They'll be back in court today. They made 4 requests, 3 regarding David Pecker's testimony, 1 regarding Michael Cohen's testimony. David Pecker, when it comes to a meeting he was in, an investor meeting he was in, when he got a phone call from Donald Trump asking what he thought about the Karen McDougal situation, in which David Pecker said to Donald Trump he thinks he should pay off Karen McDougal, and Donald Trump at the time responded, "I'm not into these payoffs," because eventually the story gets out. Another conversation that was had about buying the life rights of Karen McDougal. A third, we all remember, right? We've talked about this repeatedly, the Trump Tower meeting back in 2015. David Pecker recounting the Trump Tower meeting in 2015 when David Pecker was there, Michael Cohen, Donald Trump, and they talked about placing damning stories about Donald Trump's opponents in the 2016 election, along with looking out for stories about Donald Trump as well. David Pecker also saying he's going to look out for stories coming from women. The 4th request made was Michael Cohen's recount of that meeting as well, that Trump Tower meeting as well. So again, 35 pages to be read back to this jury this morning, along with, as you mentioned, jury instructions. We don't have specificity as to whether or not the jury actually wants the entire instructions, i.e. an hour and 15 minutes, as was read to them yesterday, or a portion of those instructions. So we could be looking at getting into deliberations once again at 11 or noon this afternoon.
Danny, let's bring you in here. Is there anything to infer with the fact that they want those 2 specific testimonies read back, David Pecker and Michael Cohen? What do you take away from that?
This is the agony of jury notes, because no matter what the question is, it can be subject to many different interpretations. Perhaps the easiest is the jury is looking at the facts of the arrangements with McDougal to show an overall course of conduct, whether this is something that was a set pattern and it was something that Trump knew about or would have known about, i.e. the phone call with Pecker and Trump. Because one of the things the prosecution has plenty of is testimony by people like Pecker and Cohen. They obviously don't have the testimony of Trump. So they've tried to build Trump's intent through circumstantial evidence and evidence from people like Michael Cohen, who took the stand and told the jury what Trump told him. But, of course, the jury may be looking to hammer down specific intent by Trump as inferred from these different conversations or these different testimonial moments.
Danny, what about the jury's request for the judge to repeat at least some of the instructions which they had received earlier in the day? That's not entirely uncommon, right? Not
at all, and particularly so in New York, where the jury doesn't get the jury instructions as paper in the room with them, which is a weird quirk of New York law. So for that reason, you can expect, and I did expect, that the jury would ask for jury instructions to be read back to them because they simply can't memorize them. It took an hour to have them read to them. The human mind simply can't memorize an hour's worth of spoken jury instructions. And it's not like this is something easy to remember. These are really difficult concepts, legal concepts, that they have to hold in their mind. So no surprise they're going to make those requests. I expect many more on the jury instructions.
Yasmin, let's go back to you. What kind of mood was Mr. Trump in as these jury deliberations got underway?
By the way, just quickly to add on to what Danny had to say, saying that these jury instructions are complicated is quite an understatement. I mean, we're looking at 54 pages or so of jury instructions, right? So it's understandable as to why they would want to have those read back to them. The former president was certainly focused in when those jury instructions were read by Judge Juan Merchan yesterday, and then he had to go to another courtroom to await any kind of questions coming from the jury throughout the day. He did make a couple of statements throughout the day, of course, the same kinds of things that we've been hearing from the former president earlier. Let me play for you, though, a bit of what he said at one point, equating himself, guys, to Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa could not beat these charges. These charges are rigged. The whole thing is rigged. But we'll see. We'll see how we do. It's a very disgraceful situation. It's a very unfair trial. It should have never happened.
You got to remember, guys, right? He has been in this courtroom every day for the last 6 weeks. He has said repeatedly he'd rather be out campaigning than sitting inside that courtroom. Nonetheless, that's exactly where he's going to be while these deliberations are ongoing until we actually get a verdict. And we'll have to wait and see what more we hear from the former president today throughout these deliberations that are certainly ongoing, guys.
All right, Yasmin and Danny, thank you both.
Well, while Trump does await the verdict in his hush money trial in that courtroom, President Biden is ramping up his campaign efforts in critical battleground states like Pennsylvania that put him over the top back in 2020. He made an appearance yesterday in Philadelphia alongside Vice President Harris in an effort to boost support among black voters. And as NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez reports, the president has seen a dip in support.
In a rare joint appearance on the campaign trail, President Biden and Vice President Harris turned up the heat on former President Trump.
Now he's running again, and he's clearly unhinged.
Their campaign launching a renewed effort to court black voters in this critical swing state.
Joe Biden gave his word that we would fight to address some of the biggest issues facing the black community, and we have delivered.
It comes as Mr. Trump is making his own push, including in the South Bronx.
Joe Biden is not getting the job done for the Bronx.
Recent NBC News polling shows that President Biden's support among black voters has dropped since 2020. Back then, exit polls showed black voters supported Biden over Trump by 75 points. Now that Biden advantage has narrowed to 58 points. Perhaps more concerning for Democrats, less enthusiasm. 4 years ago, 74% of black voters had high interest in the election. Now it's just 59%. Is the campaign worried about that?
I think it's important for each and every one of us to go out and make the case and show black America that this is an administration that sees us. This is an administration that is willing to fight for us.
Democratic Maryland Governor Wes Moore is helping lead the outreach.
You've got to continue to believe in an administration that's actually doing the work.
But it's a tough sell for Eugene Thomas, who runs a nonprofit in Philadelphia. Has President Biden earned your vote?
Not yet.
After voting for Biden in 2020, he's considering voting third party or not at all. For him, inflation is a top issue.
People are struggling. We have to help people extra with groceries, gas prices.
Again, that was Gabe Gutierrez reporting. Now, former President Trump's campaign argues that his economic policies benefited black families, calling President Biden's speech pandering. Well, let's talk more about politics here with NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen. John, good morning. So as we heard in Gabe's report, President Biden's support among black voters has dropped since 2020. Broadly, what are some of the reasons we are hearing from voters behind that drop?
Hey, good morning, Sunshine Team. Nice to see you. I think basically there's not a huge difference between what you're seeing from black voters and the rest of the country in terms of the issues that they're struggling with, right? So you just heard the gentleman in Gabe Gutierrez's piece talking about how inflation is hurting him, how he's having to help others with prices based on rising gas prices, et cetera. I mean, that is the number one issue in this country, whether you are white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever demographic group you can come up with, that seems to be the number one issue. And as Gabe pointed out, and as you guys have pointed out, Donald Trump is making a push to sort of take from what has traditionally been the Democratic base. I think most of those voters will come back, particularly in the black community, will come back home to Democrats at the end of the election. But the question is how many? And the second question is how many of those Democratic-leaning black voters will just stay home?
So, John, is there a path to victory for President Biden with the level of support he has from black voters right now? Or does the president have a lot of work to do? And I'm especially thinking not just Pennsylvania, but you got Michigan and Georgia.
No, I don't think he has a path to victory unless he can bring home a lot of those black voters who are either, alienated from him at this point, or at least considering one of the options of a third party, Donald Trump, or staying home. Biden does have to shore up black voters. They've been the bedrock of the Democratic Party, meaning the folks who are most likely to vote for Democrats in recent election history. It is a group of voters that he has courted assiduously over time, and the fact that he's having trouble maintaining that is I think really symbolic of his larger problems. One thing I would note, yesterday I was on a train from New York to Wilmington, Delaware. I got my car in Wilmington, Delaware, turned on Philadelphia radio, and there was a Biden ad basically aimed at the black community, trying to explain why Donald Trump was a bad choice for them and Biden was a good choice. And what I take from that is that the campaign understands that it's not going to win without the level of support, without greater support than it has right now in the black community.
And John, if we talk about the former president for a moment, there are no signs so far that the hush money trial for Mr. Trump has been harming his support. Also, of course, remains to be seen what a conviction would do for support either way. But from President Biden's perspective, with that going on, has he been able to take advantage of Mr. Trump's time, technically off the campaign trail, though we are, of course, still hearing from him a lot each day as this trial unfolds? Is this helping Mr. Biden in any way that you can see?
Yeah, another sign that the Biden campaign is worried is that we saw their reaction earlier this week to the Trump trial, where surrogates for Biden went out, outside the trial to try to get some attention, to try to counter all of the attention that's been going to Donald Trump, and they sent out the actor Robert De Niro, and what's fascinating to me about that is that they chose for 5 or 6 weeks of this trial to not do that, and so I think they see that this is problematic, that Donald Trump is dominating headlines and it's not hurting him. And I think you asked the right question, Savannah. What would a conviction do? But that's only the right question if he is convicted, and we are a long way from seeing that happen.
Absolutely. John, thank you very much. Always great to have you.
Turning to the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas, Israel's military says it has now established tactical control over the Gaza-Egypt border. The IDF says that is the location of smuggling tunnels Hamas uses to bring weapons into Gaza.
Yeah, this comes after Israeli tanks were seen entering central Rafah for the first time earlier this week after an airstrike sparked a major fire that killed dozens of Palestinians. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us from Tel Aviv on this. Raf, good morning. What can you tell us about the Israeli military's control over this particular corridor, and what are we learning this morning about what troops are discovering there?
Savannah, Joe, good morning. So the Israeli military refers to the Gaza-Egypt border as the Philadelphia corridor, and they say it is of military significance because that is where the smuggling tunnels are from Egypt into Gaza, through which Hamas has brought all of these weapons that we saw on October 7th, that we've seen in the war in Gaza. The Israeli military says they have discovered 20 of those tunnels so far. I asked an Israeli official whether those tunnels have been functioning since October 7th or not, they weren't able to say. They also say that they have discovered Hamas rocket launchers that were deliberately placed near the border. They think Hamas believed that Israel would not risk striking so close to the Egyptian border in case they accidentally hit Egyptian forces. But this is really raising the diplomatic tension between Israel and Egypt. The Egyptians are not happy about having Israeli forces in control of the Rafah crossing all along the border. And we saw this very unusual incident last week where Israeli forces and Egyptian troops actually exchanged fire over the border. At least one Egyptian soldier was killed. Both sides since then appear to have backed down and are trying to restore calm there. Guys.
Raph, let's talk more about Rafah. The deputy U.S. ambassador to the UN, Robert Wood, told the UN Security Council Wednesday that last weekend's airstrikes in Rafah are undermining Israel's strategic goals in Gaza. What is the latest in Rafah now that more than 1 million Palestinians have fled the region?
So, Joe, it is just a devastating situation. As we have talked about for months now, more than half the population of Gaza fled to Rafah, hoping it would be safe there. These are families, some of whom have been displaced 7 or 8 times by the fighting already. They are sleeping in tents made of plastic, made of wood. And we have watched as they've been forced to pack up those tents. They've moved some of them to a coastal area called Al-Mawasi. And humanitarian groups say there is simply not the infrastructure there for 1 million people. You basically have them camping out on the beach without access to medical care, without access to food. And throughout, we are seeing these devastating Israeli airstrikes. Israel says they're aimed at Hamas, but they are killing large numbers of Palestinian civilians. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken overnight urging Israel to swiftly investigate that deadly strike Sunday into Monday, where an Israeli bomb ignited a firestorm at a camp for displaced people. At least 45 dead there, many of them women and children. Guys.
All right, Raph Sanchez. Raph, thank you so much.
Well, we are looking at yet another day of severe weather threats as millions from Colorado to Louisiana could be at risk between today and tomorrow.
Meteorologist Angie Lastman's here with the forecast. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. No break for parts of the plains. We're going to continue to see that potential for some of these strong storms to develop later today, but they've already really started across some of this region. Notice the thunderstorms that we've been dealing with from the northern plains to the southern plains, specifically already some alerts happening in Texas and Oklahoma at this hour. And we've got more where that came from as the day goes on. We've got a cold front that's inching across parts of the northern plains. We do have a slight risk and an enhanced risk for a good chunk of this region. Notice Lubbock right in the center of that enhanced risk, but San Angelo to Oklahoma City and up to Scott City also included in the slight risk. Basically, that means that we're going to be watching some of these thunderstorms erupt, especially into the evening hours tonight, leaving us with the potential of all the risks. Now, the good news is, just like yesterday, that tornado risk is low. It isn't zero, but it's on the lower end, so we're not as likely to see those kind of storms develop. But we could see some of these spots with really large hail and some damaging wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. So kind of more of the same of what we've been dealing with. Today, it's the baseball-sized hail that we'll watch impact folks across parts of Texas. Now, tomorrow, Dallas to Houston is going to watch for that potential with Austin right in the center of that, Alexandria as well. And on top of that, we're going to see some of that heavy rainfall, leaving us with the flash flooding risk. But notice all of those threats are still on the table, but more people involved in this. So 22 million people at risk tomorrow. The biggest threat, most concerning at least, is going to be the severe wind gusts that we watch, but we can't rule out some hail and tornadoes too. By Saturday, rolling into the weekend, it looks like the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, stretching down to the Gulf Coast. That's where we'll see some storms. From Colorado to West Tennessee is where we'll see the strongest of those storms. And on top of that, the rainfall is going to be problematic for folks in the south. Notice where you see that darker red, upwards of 3 inches of rain. So that's why we're concerned for the flash flooding. Temperatures, though, in the northeast, on the cool side, we're running a little below normal. Not anything crazy by any means. We're still going to make it into the 70s in Washington, D.C. and in New York, but barely into the upper 60s in Pittsburgh. We'll see 73 degrees in Detroit. We kind of keep more of the same for tomorrow, and then as we look ahead to the weekend, guys, we'll get back to the 80s. I know those are the temperatures people want to see as we're rolling towards summer. 82 degrees on Saturday and Sunday in Washington, D.C., 82 for Columbus on Saturday. And we kind of hang out in that same region of the low 80s for Chicago as well.
That looks like a nice weekend
Yeah,
here.
it does.
All
You're
right.
welcome.
Thank you, Angie. All right. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, it's National Water Safety Month, and pools are officially open for this summer. But before you dive in, we have some tips to help you keep safe.
Also coming up, flag controversy. Some lawmakers are calling for Supreme Court Justice Alito to step aside in pending cases related to January 6th and former President Trump. And it's all over flags flown in front of his homes. We have Alito's response. More on that coming up. Welcome back. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito is standing firm this morning amid calls for recusal. The justice says he is, quote, duty-bound to serve the court in 2 cases related to former President Trump after controversy over flags displayed in front of 2 of his homes led to lawmakers calling for him to step aside. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell has the latest.
A defiant judgment from Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito refusing Democrats' demands that he recuse himself from pending cases related to January 6th and former President Trump over flags flown at his Virginia home in 2021 and New Jersey vacation house in 2023. Flags frequently used by MAGA followers who deny the 2020 election results. The incident sparking national attention just this month. Alito repeatedly blamed his wife, Martha Ann, as solely responsible for the controversial displays and distanced himself in a pair of detailed letters to Congress. I had nothing whatsoever to do with the flying of the flag. I asked my wife to take it down, but for several days she refused. The conservative justice said his wife was greatly distressed over a very nasty neighborhood dispute, noting she is a private citizen with full First Amendment rights. Alito contends the events do not meet the threshold for recusal, so he is duty-bound to reject the request. Democratic leaders have expressed outrage.
It's totally inappropriate. Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas are totally out of control.
Justice Thomas's wife, Ginny, backed efforts to overturn the 2020 election outcome, but has recently said she and her husband don't discuss their work with each other. Alito is among the most conservative jurists on the court, yet he asserted ignorance that the flags have been associated with conservative anger and January 6th. I was not aware of any connection between this historic flag and the Stop the Steal movement. And neither was my wife.
18 Democrats from the House Judiciary Committee signed a letter to Chief Justice Roberts asking him if these events violate the court's code of conduct adopted last November and urging him to enforce that code.
Kelly O'Donnell, thank you very much for that report.
Now, Justice Alito's refusal to step aside on Trump-related cases comes as the Supreme Court is set to release another crop of rulings later this morning.
One of those rulings could impact President Biden's son, Hunter. He's scheduled to begin trial early next week on gun and false statement charges.
NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Riley joins us now to help break it all down. Ryan, good morning. A lot to cover here. Let's start with Justice Alito for a second. As we reported, he's refusing to recuse himself from 2 Trump-related cases. Remind us, what are those pending cases and what sort of impact could they have on the former president?
Sure. So the big one is the Trump immunity case, which is all just about Donald Trump. Obviously it would have bigger repercussions dealing with the issue of immunity for future presidents. But what that has to deal with is the case that's currently before Judge Chuck, and it's basically on pause. The election interference case brought by Jack Smith, where the president is facing 4 charges in connection with his efforts to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to set up these fake elector schemes in various states where these electors would claim that Donald Trump won the state. He actually lost. So that's what that case all has to deal with. There's also the obstruction of an official proceeding case, which involves a lot of January 6th defendants altogether. 2 of those charges would be impacted in the Trump case because he faces those obstruction of justice charges specifically. And the court was pretty skeptical of the use of that. It was actually a Trump-appointed judge in the local district court that basically brought that up to the Supreme Court because he tossed this for so many of these defendants. It eventually bubbled its way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court heard oral arguments on it. So those are the 2 main cases that will impact the Trump case in D.C.
And Ryan, let's talk about that one that we mentioned that could potentially impact Hunter Biden, a ruling that also might come today. That case concerns whether domestic violence abusers can own guns. That could also affect some gun laws across the country. Help us understand what to expect here and how that could intersect with Hunter Biden's upcoming case.
Yeah, so the Hunter Biden case has to deal with this idea of being an addict in possession of a weapon. It's a very rarely used charge. It's something that, I only really saw when I was covering cases involving white supremacists, where the feds were essentially looking for some charge to stick. When there was some guy who was a white supremacist with guns, but there was no obvious federal charge, and it was like, oh, lo and behold, lucky enough, they also happen to use, marijuana, or they also happen to use some sort of illegal drug, and that's what they would charge him with. But if you were to enforce this across the board, you're talking about literally millions of people, right? Because marijuana is federally legal, even though the Biden administration is trying to step that back a little bit. It's a Schedule I drug, and it's something that if anyone smokes marijuana on a regular basis and also has guns, you can be charged with this crime. It also applies, obviously, to other drugs as well, and that's what you're talking about, really, in the Biden case here. But if the court comes back with a wide enough ruling or something that says that this is illegal, this is too much of a restriction on people's Second Amendment rights, it could impact that Hunter Biden gun case.
Quickly, Ryan, what other cases on the docket are folks eagerly awaiting?
So the immunity one is the big one. That's sort of what we're all waiting on because of the delay that was caused by this, right? Because remember, at this point, in the original schedule that was laid out when this case was indicted back in August, this was supposed to go to trial starting in March. That's when jury selection was supposed to begin. So at this point, that would have impacted the New York City hush money trial case. That would have been pushed back. And the first case would have been this election interference case, which a lot of folks thought was the right way to sort of go about this because that was the really critical case. It was all about stopping the peaceful transfer of power, the really high-profile case. Instead, that's been kicked on the line. It's indefinitely delayed. Very unlikely it actually goes to trial before the election.
All right, Ryan Riley, thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's take a look at what's making news around the world this morning. We're going to start with a decision in the landmark trial of pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong. NBC News international correspondent Claudio Levanga is in Rome with that and other world news. Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, guys. That's right. 14 pro-democracy activists were convicted and 2 were acquitted on national security charges in Hong Kong. Now, the trial comes over 3 years after 47 Democrats were arrested by authorities in dawn raids across the city on charges of conspiracy to commit subversion. Now, China has been using its national security law to crack down on dissent and peaceful opposition. Sentencing will come at a later date for the guilty parties, but prison terms for this offense can range from 3 years to life. Now to Mexico, where political campaigning has come to a close before Sunday's election, as several attacks have been reported on political candidates and their staff across the country. 2 mayoral candidates were assassinated by gunmen, and another mayoral candidate and 2 of his staff members were shot multiple times and hospitalized in serious condition. Both presidential candidates, Galvez and Sheinbaum, spoke of their plans for Mexico's rising violence in their final rallies yesterday. And finally, an ancient medical breakthrough has given us a closer look at how history's earliest cancer patients were treated. The Frontiers in Medicine journal published a study examining 2 ancient Egyptian skulls with cut marks around cancerous growths. Using micro-CT scanning and microscopic bone surface analysis, they can conclude ancient Egyptians have had some sort of surgical intervention for cancer. One skull dates back to somewhere between 2687 and 2345 BC, and the other all the way back to anywhere from 663 to 343 BC. Very impressive.
No kidding. Cool, but probably very different technology.
Yeah.
Then. All right, Claudio, thank you so much.
Well, still ahead, a new study is shining a light on a shift in puberty among girls. We're taking a look at why researchers say girls are starting puberty earlier than before and the effect racial disparities in puberty can have on girls later in life.
Also, breaking barriers. Major League Baseball just announced a major shift in the recorded history of America's pastime. For the first time, it is including data from the Negro Leagues in official statistics. We're going to have reaction from the players' families coming up next.
We're back with eye-opening new findings about a shift in puberty among girls. A report published in JAMA yesterday shows a growing number of girls are now experiencing their first period before the average age of 12.
It's especially true among children of color. Research shows that black girls are more than twice as likely as white girls to start their puberty early. Doctors warn the results could be devastating.
NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel joins us on this now. Dr. Patel, always great to have you. So just tell us about the results of this study and what it tells us about why girls are starting their menstrual cycles earlier and why, as Joe mentioned, black girls are twice as likely to have this happen.
Yeah, Savannah, Joe, this was important. It also compounds research that we've had for decades that have been showing this disturbing trend in an earlier onset of periods in girls. This was a study done over 4 years, self-reported on a mobile app, over 71,000 females who were born in the last 5 decades. So it got to look at a pretty large span of time, and it showed exactly what you're alluding to, that as you were born later, meaning as girls are born more recently, the average age of onset of puberty is much earlier, and their first periods are coming on at an early age, before the age of 12, on average at 11.9 years. And there was also irregularity, Savannah, between their onset of their period and when their cycles got regular. So it's just giving us a peek into something about the hormonal kind of patterns of younger girls. And to your point, not just Black people, but also people of Asian American descent and of Latino and Hispanic descent and other racial and ethnic categories or higher likelihood to have this earlier onset. And there are several reasons why. And so we'll have to kind of probe into that with more research, some association with diet, some association with environment, but probably a lot more questions than answers about exactly why it's happening.
Dr. Patel, let's talk about some of the health risks associated with girls starting their cycles earlier, including how it affects girls later in life.
Yeah, so it's a great point. So a couple of things that I think researchers and doctors are taking note of is that there is potentially a higher risk of cancers, including breast cancer. There are also higher associations with coronary artery disease, and there have been higher prevalence of mental health disorders and other associated mental health conditions when you have an earlier onset of puberty. Here's the problem, though, Joe. We don't have enough research that we've done in just menstrual research, period, to even know, like, well, what is it that we can do to modify these risk factors? That's what we like to understand when we see these disturbing trends. But we need to understand, what can I do today? And that's going to require some education as well as more research.
What should parents know before talking to a doctor about this? What kind of support do these girls need?
Savannah, I'm in this exact category right now. My daughter is 7, and what we're recommending is that parents start educating and spreading awareness as early as the ages of 6, 7, or 8, because we can see girls with an onset of puberty around the age of 9 or 10. That showed up in this study most recently. So it's education as parents, also having these conversations with your pediatricians so that you normalize body process, normalize body parts, normalize these words. And then I'm going to do this today. I'm taking a hard look at my child's diet. Oftentimes we see like high sugar, high processed foods. We've talked about that. And we want to make sure that we're making healthy swaps so that we can have a better diet overall.
Oh, such important information. Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you very much.
Now to a major change for Major League Baseball. The league announced it's updating the record books to include statistics from the Negro Leagues. That means thousands of Negro League players will now have their accomplishments recognized among the all-time greats. Here's NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster.
This announcement was set in motion more than 3 years ago, but Wednesday morning made it official. Major League Baseball has some new record holders in major categories.
It's a dramatic shift in the recorded history of Major League Baseball. For the first time, MLB is including data from the Negro Leagues in official stats. Josh Gibson, who went pro in 1930, now has the league's #1 career and single-season batting average and slugging percentage, surpassing Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, and Barry Bonds.
This is a great day, not only for the Gibson family, but all the family members of Negro League Baseball players.
Gibson's great-grandson says the honor is meaningful.
This will change how other people view him, but does it alter how you view him?
No. If Josh Gibson played in the Negro Leagues or the Major Leagues, he was still one of the greatest of all time.
The recognition coming after an independent committee spent more than 3 years reviewing a patchwork of available data, including thousands of box scores, with more than 2,300 players from the Negro Leagues now entered into the public database.
We have a whole lot of black baseball players who are great, who, but for the color of their skin, would be competing with Ty Cobb, would be striking out Babe Ruth.
In a statement, MLB says this initiative will ensure that future generations of fans have access to the statistics and milestones of all those who made the Negro Leagues possible. Last week, the league and its Players Association also announcing expanded financial assistance programs to support players from the Negro Leagues, but few are still alive.
We've caught up with our past. We've made it right. This is sort of reparations. Reparations come to Major League Baseball.
Official records honoring some of baseball's greats.
That updated database is now online for the world to see, and it's also giving us a more holistic look at some black major league players, from more hits for Jackie Robinson to more wins for Satchel Paige. Back to you.
All right, Shaq, thank you.
Coming up, we're all business. Time just released its annual list of 100 companies that it says are making an extraordinary impact around the world.
From iconic celebrity brands to innovative tech startups and everything in between, we're going to tell you who took the top spot this year. That is next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. New this morning, Time just released its annual list of 100 companies that it says are changing the way business is done.
Yeah, and they range from familiar brands to up-and-coming startups that Time says are shaping the future.
We've got Time senior editor Emma Barker with us for the big reveal. Of course, we had a little sneak peek there on who's on the cover. But before we get into that, let's talk about the idea behind this. What's the criteria for who makes this list?
Yeah, there's no specific data that we look at. It's a really wide range, but the big things we're looking at are newsworthiness and impact. So we're looking at companies that specifically in the past year moved society the most.
And so, as we just saw there, Selena Gomez is one of the covers. We'll get to the other one in just a moment. Of course, she's extremely recognizable. She's an actress, she's a singer, but she is also the founder of this company, Rare Beauty. What is it about her company and her as a businesswoman that's landed her on this list?
Yeah, so we've all heard of a million celebrity beauty brands.
Right.
And what really sets hers apart is that she decided to really put a purpose behind it. The same time she launched the company, she also launched the Rare Impact Fund, which is specifically funded by Rare Beauty proceeds as well as other methods of fundraising. But this funds mental health organizations across the country, and they've already raised many millions of dollars for these organizations. And we spoke to a lot of the organizations that have benefited from it, and they've really seen significant impact from the money coming from Selena Gomez's company.
Wow. Business doing good. All right, let's go from beauty to something that some folks think is kind of ugly, which is AI. The Anthropic founder, Dario Amodei, is the other one to grace the cover. He really focuses on safety with artificial intelligence. What more should we know about him? It's not a name maybe a lot of folks know.
Yeah, he's not really putting himself forward as a face of AI like some other AI CEOs are. But he's come to the forefront in the past year for really speaking out for safe development of AI across the industry. And that's not just speaking out for his own company, but trying to make it so that that is an industry standard. He's well known at this point in the AI community for holding back his own releases to make sure that they're fully safe and responsible before releasing them.
A big question mark a lot of the times when we see some of these new technologies is, are we all ready for this? So it is an interesting way to look at it. So those are two covers, two companies, but there's 100. Tell us about some of the other ones we should know about on this list.
Yeah, absolutely. Another really impactful company that we've all been talking about is the WNBA. A lot of people don't think of the WNBA necessarily as a company, but it is.
Business.
It's a business. And it's seen extreme growth over the past few years, especially even before the Caitlin Clark phenomenon of her being drafted to the Indiana Fever, which has really only exacerbated that. It's their viewership numbers have been huge. They've been setting attendance records. And now with Caitlin Clark joining, teams, not just the Indiana Fever, have seen extraordinary ticket sales and selling out games.
It's so great to see and gives young girls so much to look up to and look forward to as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Yes.
Emma Barker, great list. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
We always love when you're here. And if you have questions about AI, as we were just talking about, well, I've got some exciting news. I'll be hosting a special town hall right here on NBC News Now, focusing on the challenges facing parents in this increasingly complex and interconnected digital world. As part of that, we will talk to experts about real-world solutions. You can watch the special Digital Parenting, Raising the AI Generation on June 4th at 9 p.m. Eastern on NBC News Now. The town hall is sponsored by Aura in support of their Digital Parenthood initiative. Let's now get to our financial headlines. Tesla is under pressure this morning over reports of safety concerns with their steering power.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Savannah. Good morning to you. Yeah, so safety regulators are seeking records from Tesla as part of an investigation into reports of power steering loss in Model 3 and Model Y vehicles. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says it wants the information from Tesla by July 24th. Now, the probe covers about 334,000 vehicles from the 2023 model year and comes after the agency received more than 100 reports about the loss of steering control. Regulators want to know how Tesla identifies and creates solutions for possible defects. Tesla hasn't responded to a request for comment. Mickey, Goofy, and Pluto are officially union members. Federal labor officials have certified the results of a vote that took place earlier this month involving character and parade performers at Disneyland. Actors Equity will represent about 1,700 performers and support staff. The workers say they love Disneyland, but are concerned about health and safety since returning from the pandemic. And more than 60% of parents have made at least one financial sacrifice to help their adult children. A new report from Bankrate finds parents have sacrificed emergency savings, paying off debt, their retirement savings, or reaching some other financial milestone. Now, more than a quarter of adults age 23 and older have received financial assistance from their parents for rent, help buying their first home, and support for everyday expenses, guys.
That's a sign of the times.
I'm guessing that's a shift. Different from when I was younger, certainly. All right.
Silvana, thank you.
Now, during the height of the pandemic, many Americans looking for a change of scenery were drawn to the perks of living in Florida. They like the warmer weather and the lower taxes. But some now say they haven't found that dream lifestyle they were searching for. They're looking to move again. NBC News senior policy reporter Shannon Pettypiece looks at why the Sunshine State, for some, has lost its luster.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree. This is beautiful. You know, you can't ask for a nicer setting.
Months into the pandemic, Dennis Cole sold his Connecticut home and, like hundreds of thousands of Americans, headed to Florida. Many drawn by the state's lower taxes and sunny skies.
It's not the panacea that I had in my head.
But now he's preparing to put his Florida house on the market and move back north.
We have political issues in Florida that are just ugly. We have costs skyrocketing.
Florida has been among the fastest growing states in the nation since the start of the pandemic. In 2022 alone, more than 700,000 people moved there. But at the same time, nearly 500,000 left, the largest number since the Great Recession. We spoke with dozens of former Florida residents who have recently left the state. Among the reasons they gave, a soaring cost of living. Florida has had one of the nation's highest rates of inflation. Last year, car insurance was up 24% and homeowners insurance jumped 42%. Home prices have risen 60% since 2020.
They love the blue skies and the dolphins and the water, but this comes at a price.
John Desitel has spent 2 decades selling Florida real estate.
Are you getting a lot of calls from people who moved down here during COVID who are now looking to leave?
Yeah, we are.
And what's the number one reason they're giving?
Politics. Politics.
Florida has recently enacted some of the most conservative legislation in the country, including a near total ban on abortions and restrictions on how race and sexuality are taught in schools.
My in-migration people want to move here due to politics.
my out-migration people want to move out of here due to politics.
A spokesperson for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said that under his leadership, Florida led the country in domestic in-migration in 2022 and saw the highest population growth rate in generations.
Look, this has always been a transient state. People come and go. That's normal. I think our policies have attracted folks.
For Cole, who considered himself a moderate conservative when he moved to Florida, the state's political shift to the right has contributed to his decision to leave.
Whether it was fighting with Disney, whether the whole LGBTQ thing, it's just that there are so many things that make it uncomfortable for a lot of people to be here.
Leaving him and others looking for a brighter future outside the Sunshine State.
Our thanks to Shannon Pettypiece for that report.
Well, coming up, pools are open, and we're not to sound like a buzzkill, but we're going to have a little summer safety chat.
It is important after the break how you can stay safe in the water amid a reported rise in drowning incidents. That's next on Morning News Now. Performance legend Audra McDonald is returning to Broadway, set to headline the latest revival of Gypsy. The show, which originally premiered on the Great White Way back in 1959, follows Rose, a relentless stage mother, as she leads her daughter through show business. McDonald will be the first black woman ever to portray Rose on Broadway. It's just the latest in a long list of accomplishments for McDonald, who has won more competitive Tony Awards than any other performer in history. Oh yeah, the show's being directed by another legend, George C. Wolfe. It's going to reopen at the Majestic Theater, former home of Phantom of the Opera, at the end of this year. That will be unusual to see something not Phantom in that space.
Yeah.
But I think they're hoping to have a good run there.
Well, the merry month of May might be winding down, but before it ends, we want to mark National Water Safety Month. So far this year, the CDC is reporting that drownings are actually on the rise for the first time in decades.
Children between the ages of 1 and 4 saw one of the largest increases. Drownings were up 28% in 2022 compared with 2019. That makes it the #1 cause of death for children in that age range. But it's not just the kids who are at risk. 40 million adults in America don't know how to swim.
Joining us now for more on how we can all stay safe in the water this summer is Dr. Molly O'Shea. She's the official pediatrician for Goldfish Swim School. Doctor, thanks so much for being here. So first, tell us why you think it is that we're seeing this rise in incidents like drowning. What are the biggest factors that lead to these accidents?
I think there are several following the pandemic. Number one is that people don't have the same access to swim lessons that they had prior to the pandemic because we have reduced numbers of people available to teach those lessons. The number, just like in every industry where there are labor shortages, the swim industry is no different. So there are fewer swim instructors, fewer lessons. There are also fewer pools available, especially in certain communities. Pools were actually filled in. They cost a lot of money to keep going. And so especially in urban areas, pools are just not available. Parents are still reluctant to take their kids to swim lessons, even following the pandemic, where, of course, during the pandemic, many didn't do it at all, which reduced swim competency. But even following the pandemic, in my practice at least, parents are still reluctant. They see swim lessons as fun and optional, but not the life-saving tool that it really is.
And here's the thing about swim lessons. Stats show that they reduce the risk of drowning by up to 88%. But here's the problem. More than half of U.S. adults say they have never taken a swim lesson. How do we bridge that gap?
I think there are a couple of ways. Number one is, of course, you're never too old to take swim lessons. So even as a parent, you can sort of role model taking lessons by doing it. And also, I think parents, there's a gap in understanding that fact that you just shared, that swim lessons save lives. And so as a result, having children enroll in lessons starting at age 1 and continuously participating in them until that motor memory is really entrenched is essential. It's not like you can just take that swim lesson for, 1 8-week session and feel like, oh, great, my 1-year-old is safe now. doesn't work that way. Those skills need to be reinforced over and over again until that competency is really entrenched. So swim lessons, kind of like other skills like reading, need to be continuously reinforced. And because it's a life-saving skill, essential, it needs to be part of a regular aspect of that early childhood experience.
And then I think sometimes people who do think that they are strong swimmers or think, hey, I've got an eye on my child, they don't know some of these common misconceptions, whether it's at the beach, the pool, or the lake. What are some of those things that end up to these unsafe conditions in the water?
I think a couple of things. Number one is, even if your kids are strong swimmers, you got to keep your eyes on the prize, right? And your kids are that prize. So especially in an area where there are either a ton of kids. I love that image that you're showing of these crowded beaches. Even if there's a lifeguard there, keep your eyes on your own kids. Have a water watcher whose job it is to really watch the kids. And that way you're sure that your children are safe. Don't be distracted by your phone or conversations with other people during that time that your children are in the water. And, older kids, especially in open water, they don't want to wear those life jackets, but life jackets are the only safe device for water safety. Floaties, for example, that we see young kids wearing, they're like, ooh, I can swim. But actually, it gives them a false sense of security. And then they may jump in the water without their floaties on, and they're really not swim competent yet. So parents really do need to be cautious and careful and demand that those life jackets.
Dr. Molly O'Shea, thank you very much for joining us. Great life-saving tips. We appreciate it. Happy summer.
You too.
That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this Thursday, Friday, Junior. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, Verdict Watch. It's day 2 of jury deliberations in that historic hush money trial of former President Donald Trump. The courtroom requests made by the jury yesterday and what it could mean for Mr. Trump's case as his legal fate hangs in the balance. Also this morning, as Israeli forces push deeper into southern Gaza, the IDF says it now has gained control of land along the Egyptian border. What Israeli officials are now saying about a timeline for the war. Plus, deadline day for Boeing, the embattled plane manufacturer, given until today to lay out its plan to correct its course. This follows a string of high-profile safety incidents that rocked the jet maker's reputation from Wall Street to Main Street. But we're learning about the company's proposal and why the chief of the FAA says the crackdown is just beginning. And charges dropped against top-ranked golfer Scottie Scheffler. The new video showing the moments after his headline-grabbing arrest, what he admitted to police, and what he's now saying about the officer who put him in cuffs. Questions have been swirling for several days about whether those charges would be dropped. Now we have more information on that. We're going to begin this hour with our top story, the hush money trial of former President Trump. No verdict reached on day 1, so day 2 of jury deliberations will begin this morning.
The jury is deciding whether Mr. Trump falsified business records in what the state alleges was a scheme to conceal hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. The prosecution says it was done to cover up damaging information in the lead up to the 2016 election, but Mr. Trump denies the allegations. Well, yesterday, the jury requested a readback of testimony from 2 major prosecution witnesses and also for some of the judge's instructions to be repeated. NBC's senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has the latest.
Hey there, good morning. It did not take long for this jury to send up a flare for help. And after a trial that has stretched on for weeks, jurors appear to want to go back to the very beginning.
This morning, the jury determining Donald Trump's legal fate back at it.
Mother Teresa could not beat these charges.
After roughly 4.5 hours of deliberations Wednesday, a bell loudly ringing in the courtroom, signaling a note to the judge, the foreman asking for a readback of testimony from the very first witness at trial, tabloid mogul David Pecker, and Mr. Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen. 2 men who placed the former president in the room where they say the trio agreed to influence the 2016 election. Before that, jurors receiving a dizzying dissertation of instructions on the law. The judge specifically advising even if they find Cohen believable, they can't convict unless they find his testimony corroborated by other evidence. Without written copies of the judge's instructions in the deliberation room, that bell in the courtroom soon ringing again as the jury asked to rehear at least some of the legal rules governing the charges Mr. Trump has pled not guilty to. The 7 men and 5 women holed up during deliberations with a laptop loaded with nearly 300 exhibits, but with no access to their cell phones, as the presumptive GOP nominee sits in a court waiting room, waiting for news with his attorneys, friends, and family. Don Jr. taking to TikTok to pass the time.
Hey, guys, I'm here with your favorite president. We're cranking out a couple mean tweets at the courthouse.
The judge, the prosecutor, and the defense now need to hash out exactly what portion of David Pecker's testimony is going to come in this morning, and then the jury will have it read back. It said it could take up to a half an hour. Back to you guys.
All right, Laura, thank you.
Let's talk more about this with NBC News legal analyst Angela Senadella. For the purposes of this segment, we're also asking you to be a mind reader because we want you to try and help us understand what could be on the jury's mind for the fact that they're asking for a readback of Pecker and Cohen's testimony.
So I think that last point that Laura just pointed out is very relevant, and that's that in these jury instructions, it says that because Michael Cohen is considered an accomplice in the eyes of the law, everything that he said has to be corroborated in order for the jury to believe. So now, when we look at those testimonies being put together about David Pecker discussing this meeting and any intent that you can infer that Donald Trump may have had, and then compare that with Michael Cohen and what he has been saying about Trump's intent, that perhaps is the piece that they are looking for. I mean, of course, as you said, though, it's just mind reading. It could be for a whole other host of things. It could just be memory lapse, but that is my best guess so far.
I want to ask you about something else that was in those jury instructions. A little confusing, something I saw a lot of commentary about on social media yesterday. I'm going to read it exactly so I get it right. The judge made it clear that while all jurors must be unanimous that Mr. Trump falsified business records with the intent to defraud and conceal the conspiracy to promote his election through unlawful means, jurors are not required to agree unanimously on what those unlawful means are. What does that mean and why is it important?
So that is so true. And as Laura said, it's a dizzying dissertation. So what these instructions did is said they all have to agree that falsified business records happened. Then after that, they have to agree there's this intent to conceal another crime. Now, what is so confusing is that other crime is actually a conspiracy. It has to involve other people. And that conspiracy then is having influence in election through unlawful means. So now we get to that last step, that unlawful means. It doesn't really matter what unlawful means were used. In fact, I believe the jury could even consider other unlawful means, but it's almost like a drop-down menu that was presented. Here were 3 things, maybe violation of tax code, or even, confusingly, perhaps just other falsification of business records, which brings it back to the beginning.
Is there a good chance that the jury could ask for more information, for more clarifications?
Joe,
how common is that, and what should we read into that?
Yes, Joe, I would expect that. I mean, again, dizzying dissertation. They don't get these instructions in their room. And I actually believe...
pretty wild to me.
Yeah, but the reason is because the judge wants to be the one to determine the questions of the law. It shouldn't be, for example, those 2 lawyers in the room who are explaining everything and saying that because of their background as lawyers that their opinions dominate. So for New York to have these instructions not being taken into the room is intentional. It's not just a fluke.
Right.
Angela, thanks for explaining it. The dizzying dissertation and more. We appreciate it.
We sure do. All right, now let's get to the latest out of the Middle East. This morning, Israel's military says it has gained strategic control of a small strip of land along the Gaza-Egypt border.
The IDF says troops discovered about 20 tunnels crossing from Egypt into Gaza. They believe the pathways were used by Hamas for smuggling weapons and supplies.
NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez has the latest for us from Tel Aviv. Raf, good morning. So explain the significance of the Israeli military's presence along this particular border. How does this impact the country's relationship with Egypt?
Savannah, good morning. The Israeli military refers to this border area as the Philadelphia corridor, and they say it is of military significance because that's where the cross-border tunnels are from Egypt into Gaza, through which it says Hamas smuggles both weapons and supplies. Now, Israel says it has discovered about 20 of those tunnels so far. I asked an Israeli official, were those tunnels operational since October 7th? They weren't able to answer that, but they also say that they found Hamas rocket launchers bunkers close to the border, which they believe Hamas put there deliberately in the hope that Israel would not bomb in that area for fear of striking Egyptian forces on the other side of the border. But as you indicated, this is a source of rising diplomatic tension between Israel and its neighbor, Egypt. It's the first Arab state to make peace with Israel, but now they are really at odds over the future of the Gaza-Egypt border. The Egyptians not happy that Israel is in control of the Rafah crossing, not happy that Israeli forces are along the border. And last week we saw this quite unusual incident where troops from the two nations actually exchanged fire over the border. At least one Egyptian soldier was killed. Both sides seem to have backed away now, but this is a pretty significant flare-up.
Raph, well, let's talk about the timeline. A top Israeli official said yesterday the war with Hamas likely to last through at least the end of this year. What are the challenges Israel faces the longer this conflict goes on?
Yeah, guys, so 8 months into this war, the National Security Advisor of Israel indicating it could go on for a minimum of another 7 months. A lot of challenges. One is to the Israeli economy. You have, reservist soldiers who are leaving their jobs in tech, leaving their jobs in finance, other sectors of the economy, going in and serving. But the really big one is international legitimacy. You are seeing just rising impatience worldwide as the number of Palestinian civilian casualties grows, especially after that deadly strike in Rafah, where 45 people were killed, including many women and children. And the question is, how much longer will the world tolerate Israel's military action in Gaza? Guys.
All right, Raph Sanchez, thank you very much.
Turning now to the latest on Boeing. Today marks the FAA's deadline for the jet maker to lay out a plan to fix the plague of safety and quality control problems affecting its aircraft. Comes after a slew of whistleblower complaints citing years of safety concerns. Back in January, the FAA requested this turnaround plan after missing bolts caused a panel to fly off of an Alaska Airlines plane mid-flight. A few months later, Boeing's CEO announced he plans to step down by the end of the year. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello covers aviation for us, has the latest on what Boeing says it's doing to keep passengers safe in the sky.
The FAA chief has said on the record this is only the beginning, and Boeing still has a long road ahead to prove that it's working to get its quality control and its safety culture issues under control. The plan that Boeing is submitting today is a roadmap of sorts. How will it correct multiple problems found during an FAA audit of Boeing's manufacturing processes? And until those issues are fixed, Boeing will not be allowed to increase production of its MAX jets. The audit was launched after that door plug blew out of an Alaska Airlines jet shortly after takeoff back in January. A preliminary investigation by the NTSB found that no bolts had been installed to secure the plug. Boeing has admitted to quality control breakdowns and said just last week that a big part of its formal safety plan will be focused on the basics, on improving training and simplifying work instructions for its mechanics. The company has been working with regulators, and we know that Boeing and the FAA have a meeting today behind closed doors in Washington. Boeing is also facing other separate investigations, not only FAA, but NTSB and even the FBI, and among them, a probe into the 787 Dreamliner after an employee whistleblower said fellow employees were signing off on paperwork certifying safety inspections on the 87 that had never been done. And the employee notified Boeing. Boeing then self-reported that issue to the FAA. Separate from that now, the families of the victims of those two MAX 8 crashes overseas 6 years ago, they are meeting with the DOJ, the Department of Justice, Friday. They want company to be held criminally liable. They want criminal charges against Boeing because they claim that, in fact, Boeing acted criminally with those two crashes overseas and then violated the terms of its agreement with the FAA and Boeing to avoid any criminal prosecution, violated the terms with the MAX 9 door plug blowout and with everything that we've learned since about the quality control breakdowns at Boeing. So the families of those MAX 8 victims, 346 people, meeting with the DOJ in Washington tomorrow. They want Boeing to be held criminally responsible and charged. Back to you.
All right, Tom Costello, thank you. Let's check in with meteorologist Angie Lassman. It's spring, so she must be tracking another round of severe weather for
That's
us.
right. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Will there ever be another quiet day across the middle of the country? To be determined, because over the next couple of days, we've got multiple chances of more of that severe weather. Today, we're already starting off with some of those thunderstorms this morning across that region. As we get through the rest of the day and into tonight, we are concerned with more of these strong storms and clusters of them kind of popping up and impacting folks in some of these similar areas that have dealt with repeated performance when it comes to severe weather. Today, we're specifically worried about Amarillo to Lubbock for the greatest chance for some of that severe weather to develop, but a good chunk of this area does have the potential for it. Dodge City down to Fredericksburg, out towards Dallas, including the metro area, Wichita Falls and Oklahoma City included in that, with all of those same impacts that we've been watching for days on the table. Now, the tornado threat is low, so that's good news, but we've still got the chance for some really large hail. We're talking baseball size in some spots, and some of those strong wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. As we look ahead to tomorrow, notice all of the heavy rain, and you guessed it, another chance for some strong storms. The flash flooding risk will be there, especially as we get through the later part of the day with these kind of repeated rounds of heavy rain impacting us on already saturated soil. So we won't be surprised if we see some flooding. But again, the strong storms are possible too. This time, as we look ahead to your Friday, for 22 million people, including, again, the Dallas metro area, Austin and Houston, as well as out east towards Alexandria, including Shreveport too. So heads up for your Friday plans. Now, looking ahead to the weekend, we've got some good news for the ends of the country. The bookends of the country look great. I mean, gorgeous weather from basically Maine down to Florida. Parts of Florida, you could see some afternoon showers maybe. Temperatures will be on the warm side for folks there, but otherwise we've got kind of milder conditions that will settle in over the next couple of days for parts of the Northeast and the Great Lakes. Notice the rain that we'll see across the middle of the country. Those severe storms that I mentioned for today and tomorrow, those will be stretched across the middle of the country, but out west, a lot of sunshine, plenty of it. We'll see sizzling temperatures into the triple digits, especially for the Southwest, so gear up for that. We'll keep it sunny and warm for folks there here as we get into Saturday. On the East Coast, we'll see lots of sunshine, and those temperatures will slowly start to rebound back to more typical temperatures into the 80s for this time of year. Those storms, though, not letting up from the Gulf Coast to the Great Lakes. We will once again see an unsettled Saturday for folks there. And by the time we get into Sunday, guys, abundant sun out west. Out east, we'll still be dealing with sunny conditions. One thing about me, I love to make my friends happy, and everybody on the East Coast has been complaining about the rain every weekend, even last weekend with the long weekend, Monday. Yeah. It was a little rainy here, so your wish is my command.
And it was beautiful before that, though.
Right. Thank you for remembering that. But unfortunately for our friends along the Gulf Coast, it'll be a little bumpy through the weekend, but we'll get better weather on the back.
The middle of the country, they've just had a rough last several weeks. So,
dangerous weather, too.
Thank you, Angie.
Thanks, Angie. Well, we have a lot more to get to this morning, including a setback for convicted killer Scott Peterson and his push for a new trial.
But first, Iceland rocked by another volcanic eruption, the fifth in just the last few months. But it's not just the lava that's causing concern. As dramatic as that looks, we'll have more on that coming up next on Morning News Now.
Welcome back. So we just showed you those pictures. A powerful volcano in southwest Iceland has erupted for the fifth time since December, spewing lava more than 150 feet in the air.
This latest eruption forced officials to evacuate the world-famous Blue Lagoon, a natural geothermal spa which lies just south of Reykjavik. Several nearby towns also could be in danger of being cut off by the flowing lava.
Dr. Benjamin Andrews is a geologist at the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History, and he joins us now with more. Good morning, Doctor. Thank you very much for joining us. So this is the fifth and so far the most powerful eruption that we've seen in these recent months. Is it common to have this many eruptions in this particular area?
No, thanks for having me. This is not an unexpected scenario. This part of Iceland has not erupted prior to this cycle that began in December, had not erupted for many, many, many years. But it's totally expected that we could have a series of eruptions here that might go on for years or even longer. And so it's to some extent, it is expected that these eruptions will continue.
So, Doctor, in the past, we've noticed that the smoke, actually, not the lava, is the biggest concern here. What should people know about that?
Sure. So I guess the first part is that what looks like smoke here is actually volcanic ash. And volcanic ash is little tiny bits of lava. So think of it as little frozen pieces of magma foam that have been exploded out. And so it's little pieces of rock and little pieces of glass. And so that can cause a significant hazard if you breathe it in. It can also cause a hazard if you were to ingest it. And as we know from the 2010 eruption of Eyjafjallajökull in Iceland, it can cause a threat to aviation for many thousands of miles if the ash is carried a long ways. So that's one of the hazards here. And the other hazard that can come from these eruptions is gas. So this eruption is releasing sulfur dioxide. And of course, you don't want to breathe in sulfur dioxide, and that's a bad thing to breathe in. And when SO2 reacts with water in the atmosphere, it can form sulfuric acid, which is, of course, something else you don't want to be breathing in. And so the Icelandic Met Office is monitoring closely where that plume of ash and gas is going. And last I checked, it's heading off to the east of the eruption, but winds can change. And so there is always a concern that it could swirl elsewhere in the country.
Doctor, as Joe mentioned a moment ago, several areas near the volcano have been evacuated. We know the last time that it erupted, lava flowed for about 3 weeks. Is there any way to estimate how long it'll flow for this time and how long those areas need to remain evacuated?
That is a fantastic question, and it's one of the hardest questions to address in volcano science. And the previous eruption actually lasted for about 54 days that lava was erupting. And at this point, there's no way to know if this current eruption is going to last for a few days or weeks, or for a month or more, such as the previous one. And so in terms of when people can come back, that all depends on where the lava is going and what the civil authorities in Iceland tell people to do.
You are a geologist, not a travel agent, but I will put out there, if there's anyone who's traveling there in the next few days, the next couple of weeks, do you have any advice for them?
I should say I'm hoping to travel to Iceland later this summer on my own vacation, so I'm looking forward to going there. But the main thing is when you're going to a place like Iceland or any place with a volcanic eruption or some other natural phenomenon, make sure you're listening to the local people, the local civil authorities. Don't go across a roadblock. Don't go around something. Basically, be smart and listen to the local authorities.
Dr. Benjamin Andrews, really fascinating conversation with some really powerful pictures there. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And in India, officials are issuing a heat wave alert. Parts of that country could see more record-breaking temperatures today. NBC News International correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer is there with more.
That temperature of 126.1 degrees Fahrenheit registered at a substation here in Delhi, if it's confirmed by officials, would mark the highest ever temperature ever recorded anywhere in India. What does 126 degrees feel like? I could draw a lot of comparisons. The point is that the intense and prolonged heat across much of northern India is for most people unbearable. And in the capital region alone, there are some 30 million people. There's been a rise in the number of cases of heat stroke. Some people have died. Water shortages to a point that officials are talking about rationing. Electricity shortages and blackouts because power grids can't keep up. Schools closed down, crops decimated, fires started. All of it directly linked to this trend that scientists say has been worsened by climate change. Now, heat waves in India are not uncommon, but the weather department here warns they're going to get longer and far more intense. The other impact here has been on the world's biggest election. Nearly 1 billion voters going to the polls over 6 weeks, with the last round happening this weekend. Already, political campaigning has been affected by the heat, and voter turnout has been lower in some areas. So officials here in Delhi and across other states have issued red alerts for weather, urging people to stay inside when possible, stay cool how they can, to hydrate. Most people now just waiting for the monsoon rains to bring some relief. But the looming concern is that this is not some one-off weather event or aberration, but part of a growing crisis. Studies show that the intense heat and its cascading effects could soon limit human survivability if the temperatures keep rising.
All right, Janice, thank you. More international headlines now. South Korea says the North just launched a barrage of missiles just days after North Korea's failed satellite launch.
NBC News International correspondent Claudia Lavanga joins us from Rome. Hey, Claudia, good morning.
Good morning, guys. That's right. The military in South Korea said that today North Korea fired a barrage of suspected ballistic missiles. Now, the South says that about 10 projectiles believed to be short-range ballistic missiles were fired from an area near the capital, Pyongyang, traveled more than 200 miles, and then landed in waters off North Korea's eastern coast outside Japan's exclusive economic zone. Now, it is seen as the latest provocation by North Korea after on Wednesday, it allegedly flew hundreds of balloons carrying trash towards the south. And let's go to Amsterdam now, where officials at the city's international airport say a person has died after being sucked into the running turbine engine of a plane. The Netherlands flagship airline company KLM did not disclose the identity of the victim and has not revealed yet whether it was a passenger, an employee, or a bystander. In a statement, officials said that the flight concern was bound for Denmark and that they are taking care of the passengers and employees who witnessed the incident. Authorities are currently investigating what happened. And let's end this tour of the world in this part of the world in Pompeii, where children's sketches have been revealed for the first time. The archaeological park's superintendent said the drawings show violent scenes of gladiators and hunters battling animals and are thought to have been made by children between the ages of 5 and 7, sometimes before Pompeii was famously buried by volcanic ash following the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. Pompeii's director, Gabriel Zugstriegel, said that the drawings show that children in ancient times were exposed to extreme violence just as they are today with video games and social media. The difference, he says, is that in those times, the violence was real and could have had repercussions of the psycho-mental development of children in Pompeii. Back to you guys.
Fascinating stuff. Pompeii is just this wealth. It just keeps on giving of incredible stuff. Claudia, thank you very much.
Coming up, you could call it a mulligan. Prosecutors drop all charges against golfer Scottie Scheffler.
The new body cam video showing the moments after his arrest and what the top-ranked golfer is now saying about the incident. That's all up next. Welcome back. The world's #1 ranked golfer, Scottie Scheffler, is no longer facing charges. This morning, a Kentucky prosecutor said Wednesday that Scheffler's arrest for allegedly assaulting a Louisville police officer amounted to a, quote, big misunderstanding.
The news comes as new body cam video emerges showing the moments after Scheffler was taken into custody. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Goss joins us now with the very latest. Steph, good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. The prosecutor's office has confirmed to NBC that new body cam video is authentic. Scottie Scheffler was supposed to be arraigned next week in a Louisville court, but instead the prosecutor says there isn't any evidence of a crime, agreeing with Scheffler that it was all a misunderstanding.
This morning, Scottie Scheffler is getting ready for his next tournament without worrying about a criminal trial. The charges against him are dropped as leaked body cam videos surfaced online.
As you can see, I'm still shaking because I was afraid. I didn't know who he was.
Showing the moments after Scheffler's arrest for allegedly assaulting a Louisville police officer.
First of all, I did not know that he was a police officer. I thought he was one of the security guards that was mistaken.
An unrelated fatal collision had taken place near the entrance to the PGA Championship earlier that morning, contributing to a scene that Scheffler later described as rainy and chaotic, causing traffic to back up as he was trying to get to the golf course.
Why does it matter if he's a security guard or a police officer? Because if somebody's telling you to stop. Yes, you're right. I should have stopped. I did get a little bit impatient because I'm quite late for my tee time. And as he was reaching in the car, he grabbed my shoulder and hit me. Like, trying to get you to stop, right? Yes. Okay. It seemed to be a little bit over-aggressive because the entrance was open.
The arrest report said that Scheffler didn't stop and dragged the detective to the ground. Scheffler's lawyer directly dismissing that allegation.
He was not dragged. You believe they would have dismissed this case if he was dragged? No, they would not have.
And condemning the police.
I think everybody sees something like this happen and realizes they're one wrong turn or running into the wrong person away from going to jail themselves.
Overnight, the officer who arrested Scheffler speaking out in a statement to NBC's Louisville affiliate, Brian Gillis, saying his honesty and integrity had been challenged, adding, to be clear, he was dragged by the car and received visible injuries. Gillis writing, I'm going to recover from it, and saying he and Scheffler both agree there will be no ill will going forward.
We reached out to the Louisville Metro Police Department for comment on Scheffler's remark in the video that he was hit by the officer and have not heard back. And Scheffler wants to put it all behind him. He says, writing on Instagram, police officers have a difficult job and I hold them in high regard. Guys.
All right. Certainly been a talker. Stephanie, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now to new developments in the effort to get Scott Peterson a new trial. Peterson was convicted back in 2004 for the murder of his pregnant wife and unborn child. He appeared virtually in court yesterday with new representation from the Los Angeles Innocence Project, which wants new DNA testing done. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us now from outside the courthouse in California with more on what happened. Liz, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you. Yeah, Scott Peterson appeared here virtually, and it was really not the outcome that he was likely hoping for. His new attorneys with the Los Angeles Innocence Project have been asking for new DNA testing on several pieces of evidence they say was suppressed at the time of the trial. But the judge largely sided with the prosecution, just like a jury did 20 years ago at this very same courthouse.
The court is going to respectfully deny the request to test items 13 and 14.
This morning, a major setback for convicted killer Scott Peterson in his quest for a new trial.
And based on the argument that was articulated today, the court finds that there has been failure to demonstrate a sufficient chain of custody that would permit the DNA testing to be completed.
A California judge denying all but one of Peterson's requests for new DNA testing on evidence his attorneys with the Los Angeles Innocence Project say was initially suppressed.
Your Honor, we would submit there's a reasonable probability that favorable DNA results would have changed the outcome at Mr. Peterson's trial.
Peterson, now 51, joining the hearing virtually from prison, where he is serving a life sentence without parole for the 2002 murders of his pregnant wife Lacey and their unborn child Connor. His attorneys asking to test a sample of a mattress found inside a burned-out orange van the morning after Lacey disappeared, which they believe could contain traces of Lacey's blood.
Should Lacey Peterson's DNA be found anywhere, that would be irrefutable exculpatory evidence supporting Mr. Peterson's claim of innocence.
The prosecution pushing back that DNA testing done in 2019 showed no blood on the mattress and only male DNA.
These are claims that have been previously litigated.
The judge siding with the prosecution, saying the van is not related to the trial. But the judge is allowing DNA testing on one item, duct tape found on Lacey's pants when her body washed ashore in San Francisco Bay.
Do you think the DNA on the duct tape would still even be viable this many years later?
Arguably, yes. Arguably, yes.
Attorney Mark Garagos represented Peterson 20 years ago and disputes the prosecution's claim there's overwhelming evidence against him.
If it was overwhelming, there would not be this fascination with what does the new evidence show.
Now, a hearing to go over testing that duct tape is scheduled for July. Scott Peterson's brother and sister-in-law, they were here in court to support him. They did not respond to reporters' questions about the judge's ruling. Scott Peterson simply watched and listened quietly, at times taking notes. Lacey Peterson's family, they have not commented on any of this. Joe?
All right, Liz, thank you so much. NBC News legal analyst Annie Savalos joins us now with more on this. So I guess anytime one of these Innocence Projects takes on a case, my ears perk up a little bit. I think, oh, what is it they know or they think they know? What are your takeaways from the judge's ruling yesterday?
Yeah, I can tell you I actually sit on the board of one of these type clinics that take up these wrongful conviction cases. And generally speaking, they have their choice of whatever case they want because they are getting a constant stream of letters and requests from family members, prisoners. So really, they can scoop the cream off the top. So that, to me, tells me they must have seen some value in this case. However, you can see from the judge's ruling that the judge really denied the motion as to almost everything except duct tape found on Lacey Peterson herself. And after this many years, whatever is on that duct tape, it's questionable whether it's going to yield anything valuable at all.
How big of a setback is the way that the judge ruled on this for Peterson?
You could say massive, but on the other hand, almost everything you do when you're at Scott Peterson's procedural posture, after all of his appeals have been exhausted, when you're looking for newly discovered evidence, because there becomes a certain point where the only chance you'll have is some piece of newly discovered evidence. So, in a sense, they threw everything they could at the wall, one item out of over a dozen stuck, and they're going to have to hope beyond hope that that DNA testing is going to yield something something interesting. But, you know, when you're calculating the odds and you're in Scott Peterson's position, any ray of hope, anything at all, is a huge deal. So, I mean, it's really, the odds are 1,000,000 to 1 against Scott Peterson at this point. But for a prisoner, I can tell you, from having talked to a lot of them, that's more than enough.
Are there any options from here for him beyond the duct tape at this point?
And the only other chance would be other newly discovered evidence. And just as an aside, people might say, hey, what's the big deal? They're only asking for testing. Well, the law really expresses a preference for finality, because if everybody could raise, hey, I want to test any kind of item that wasn't tested at my trial, the courts would be clogged and families of victims would not have finality.
All right, Danny, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, coming up, there is good news from this morning for shoppers.
Yeah, more major chains are slashing prices in an effort to bring back customers. We're going to break down the latest announcements and the impact they could have on your wallet coming up next.
We're back now with a look at the latest retailer that's lowering prices. Walgreens announced just yesterday that it would continue slashing prices on 1,300 items in an effort to help consumers who are being hit hard by inflation.
In a statement detailing its, quote, summer of savings, the chain said, quote, Walgreens understands our customers are under financial strain and struggle to purchase everyday essentials.
For more on this, we are joined by NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans. Christine, always great to have you here. Okay, so Walgreens is the latest. Remind us who else and where we can get the best deals.
Walmart and Target and Michael's and all kinds of fast food companies. Like, look, value wars are here, from the retailers to just about everything, because for 2-3 years they have been raising prices, and now these CEOs are seeing, oh, people are very inflation weary, and they are walking across the street someplace else if they can find a better value. So some of the things like a one-a-day gummies here down to $11.99 from $13.99. The Squishmallow plush, toy, $20 down from about $25. And you go down the list from lotions and all different kinds of things that you would find at your normal neighborhood drugstore. Lower prices for a lot of things there.
All those things add up. You have talked more about fast food in the last few weeks than I think you ever imagined, especially McDonald's and Wendy's. But now McDonald's president is speaking out about the viral $18 Big Mac,
and here's why I've been talking about fast food, because it's supposed to be cheap. It's supposed to be the thing that's a really cheap thing to feed your family, and suddenly it wasn't. And that became viral, this $18 Big Mac. And the CEO, or the president of U.S. operations, wrote a letter to U.S. fans. And he said, look, it worried and concerned me when I saw that $18 viral post. It was one store. And he said that there were some poorly sourced reporting about really high prices for their goods. And he said, a Big Mac is really up only about 21% since 2019. And we did the math on the French fries are up about 44% since 2019. So he said it's not the hue and cry online that you would think, but that they are going to try to make some more value for customers. So, I mean, 21% is still 21%. If you're buying a Big Mac once a week, you've noticed that for sure.
Absolutely. We just talked a couple days ago some good news that consumer confidence is creeping back up, but it's still, while inflation sort of stuck. What did you call it? You had a great word for that.
But I don't remember. It was brilliant. And I can't remember.
It was great. Anyway, that's it.
There's inflation, there's affordability. People feel like they just can't afford things.
So what do you think that's going to pan out as this summer, as confidence is up, but we still
see? So I think we're going to see gas prices go sideways. I think you're going to see lower prices for some of these things, like fast food restaurants. If not lower prices, then ways to bundle things and get value. Looking at these retailers, Walmart, Target, with its huge store brand goods that'll be more affordable for people. We'll have to see if people start feeling a little bit better when they realize they can kind of, work their budget a little bit and try to find the deals and the values. But until now, sentiment has really been disappointing. Usually you would say 50-year low unemployment, record highs in the stock market, record high home prices. That would say the economy is good. People don't feel that. They just feel the affordability pinch.
It's really interesting. You've been doing great reporting on it. Christine Romans, thank you so much. Millions of kids in the U.S. have been diagnosed with a form of attention deficit disorder. But some doctors are doing the unconventional, prescribing more screen time as an alternative to medications like Adderall. NBC News correspondent Jay Gray has more.
Even a quick look online can be hypnotizing, fast-paced, overwhelming. Chaos, many doctors say, contributing to the explosion of attention deficit disorders in the U.S. According to the CDC, more than 14 million Americans have ADHD, including close to 6 million children.
And when we're on screens, our brain is literally dumping dopamine, the neurotransmitter that is so important for focus.
Focus is something 11-year-old Clinton Pierce and his parents say he struggled with for years.
I could, be in a whole conversation, and then 5 seconds later, I could be like, oh, look at that LeBron painting.
Formerly diagnosed with ADHD and initially prescribed Adderall, the drug helped for about a month, they say, before actually making things worse.
So that's when we fully started to explore different options.
Landing on an option that, ironically, includes more screen time. It's called Mindy, a new treatment for ADHD, depression, addiction, insomnia, and other cognitive issues. And here's how it works. Using a neurofeedback headband in conjunction with an online video game, patients concentrate on moving a ball up a hill, increasing blood flow and providing more oxygen to the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for focus, attention, and emotion. The device, described as a gem for your brain, is endorsed by neuroscientists at Stanford, Princeton, and Lund, a research university in Sweden. And NASA is aiming to use Mindy as a part of its long-duration space flight mission later this year. A study conducted with the space agency shows astronauts using it during downtime have reported performance increases and say Mindy helps them manage the stress that comes with isolation and confinement, while other independent studies indicate the technology can be effective in treating ADHD. For Clinton, Mindy has struck the perfect chord.
It's helped me a lot, and I love it. It's pretty fun, actually.
He isn't taking medicine anymore and says using Mindy for about 10 minutes a day, along with a healthy diet, meditation, and therapy, has helped him excel as an athlete and in the classroom, where he was just named the 5th grade student of the semester.
I think it's really helped my attention and focus on somebody speaking. In class, maybe I'd get up and do a little doodle during class like last year. But Mindy kind of it helped me focus on the ball, which helps me focus on my teacher and also maybe my coach or my parents.
Increased focus that for Clinton and his family makes the treatment a slam dunk. Jay Gray, NBC News.
So interesting.
Definitely. Coming up, he is a small-town farming phenom who's making it big on social media.
After the break, we'll introduce you to the 8-year-old who's riding his tractor all the way to TikTok stardom. Stay with us.
Boat snack! Oh. Boat snack upgrade. Bacon and eggs? Why didn't you bring the pig last time?
What can we say except you're welcome? We are back with a snippet of the debut trailer for Moana 2. Maui, Moana, and even Hey Hey, the Crazy Rooster are all setting sail for another adventure. And as you saw, this time Pua the pig will also be making a splash after fans complained about his absence in the first movie. Now, initially, the project was supposed to be an original streaming series on Disney+, but the company switched gears and reworked it into a feature film instead. If that's not enough, a live-action version of the franchise is still in the works. In the meantime, you can catch all the animated fun in theaters this November.
Definitely one of my favorite recent movies.
I feel like a lot of people are really excited about
exactly.
that. So it's great.
Looking forward to that. Bring back The Rock, too. All right, let's end this hour in Indiana, where one little farmer is growing a big online fan base thanks to his extensive knowledge of tractors and farm life. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park introduces us to this 8-year-old farming phenom.
Farming in South Whitley, Indiana isn't unusual. It's a way of life for many who live here. But it's not every day someone from this small town goes big on social media.
Oh, we got the new tractor.
Meet Jackson Locks. He's 8.
That's fun. This is the first one I ever had.
But some say he's really going on 68.
It changed oil right here.
How often do you have to do that?
I would say probably about every month.
And you can do that?
Yeah.
Really? Spend a few minutes with Jackson, and it's like a masterclass on tractors and farming equipment.
And then this is how you turn on your mower deck. This is your throttle, how high the engine speed you want. This is your choke.
How do you know all this?
I've just been taught it, and I've just learned it over.
And you remember
years.
it all?
Yeah.
From the time he was 2, he remembers things that happened at different points in his life. It just always blew our minds.
I want to say 1992 to 2000, they probably made them.
For the good and the bad, he remembers everything.
I think it 6'9" is comparable to this?
His memory is spot on all the time. He's amazing that way, for sure.
Yeah, I've quit trying to fact check him because he's always right.
He's always right.
He probably likes hearing that.
Yeah.
His knowledge.
So that's doing the least amount of tillage you can.
And quick wit.
And what do they have you do?
I'm kind of there just to keep them talking, keep the conversation going. That's all
have made him a star on TikTok. Some videos racking up millions of views.
That'd be a nice machine to have. 75.
Yeah, it's got a nice price tag on it too. Somewhere around 50,000.
And what do you think about all the attention that you're getting?
I think it's pretty cool. I would definitely say it's probably pretty cool.
But it gets better. Just recently, John Deere, the iconic company known for manufacturing agricultural equipment and machinery, has brought him on board for unique collaboration.
It's going to be fun, but I'm going to be training the new Chief Tractor Officer.
What were you thinking when John Deere came calling?
Blown away.
Yeah.
We both grew up on farms with John Deere.
Yeah.
You know, it's equipment we've always used, so.
I've said it's like the mothership calling home. Really.
At 8 years old.
Yeah.
But before there's any content creating, class always comes first.
Now, goats.
Goats. Are we going to get goats?
I'd like to.
Mom, Jessica, homeschools Jackson, and hands-on learning is often part of the curriculum.
Can I just drop it on my hand?
Yep, and then you got to keep it from kind of dropping.
Sometimes lessons are learned on a field trip to Grandpa's.
That transmission is nice to shift through. I like how easy it is. Yeah. That's why I like the John Deere's. Their transmissions are nice.
Grandpa Tracy was a former dairy farmer who now passionately shares his knowledge with Jackson.
He teaches me some things once in a while.
I was going to say.
Some youngsters seem to have it and others don't, you know.
And you think Jackson has it?
I would say he does.
How are you, Jackson?
Good.
Jackson's enthusiasm is a source of inspiration and hope for this community where the value of farming runs deep.
Got full weights on it.
Full weights.
And he's not too young to understand the demands of the job.
What do the good days look like?
Crops are growing good. There's not something sitting in the shop or you break something that day.
Yeah.
That's a good day.
And then a bad day?
Stuff's breaking, stuff's not working, crops aren't growing good, there's water in your field, you gotta go fix stuff. That's a bad day.
A small town boy with a big personality and a bright future rooted in farming.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A farmer and a trucker.
Kathy Park, NBC News.
Okay. As if there were any doubt what he wanted to do when he grew up.
I mean, he is so adorable, but also so impressive.
Exactly.
It is amazing how much he knows.
And it's great to see in a world where maybe fewer and fewer young people seem to be interested in farming. It is so important to do that. I grew up in a farming community, so to see that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. We need that next generation. He's like next generation.
Exactly.
So it's very cool. What a great story, Kathy. Thank you for that.
That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.